Hi everybody, welcome back to Status of the Nation. I'm so glad you guys could join me. We're gonna obviously go through the happenings of the week, and we're just gonna be breaking down some of the major stories that have been going on. I'm sorry if I sound a bit stuffed up. I'm feeling a bit sick, but that's fine. So the first story that we're going to talk about is that we're just going to follow up on the ANC succession debate. Now you guys remember my last video, I was making mention about how it's really coming down to tradition or debate, and tradition being that Cyril Ramaphosa would be the obvious nomination and candidate for presidency, or Nkosazana, which is bringing up the whole debate issue. So I don't know if you guys saw in the news, but allegedly Zuma is thinking about offering a position to Nkosazana in his cabinet. Now a lot of people are saying that he's doing that to help sort of ease her transition into being obviously the president of the party and therefore being the presidential candidate. What was also very interesting was that the president himself basically said that everybody needs to stop talking about this whole succession debate, and then the party themselves will basically figure out what's going on, and he doesn't need, everybody kind of chiming in, which I feel is a little difficult to say, especially because there's so much uncertainty. I think it's a bit of a stretch asking people not to be interested, because people want to know how this is all going to play itself out. What did happen, which was incredibly awkward, is that I read a report that apparently says that Gambia was apparently under the impression that she was going to take over from Jacob Zuma. The report basically says that the president had told her that she would be next in charge, and apparently she had told her family and her friends and some of the people, in the Eastern Cape. But it's awkward because that's obviously not what's going to happen, because it seems very clear that it's going to come down either to Cyril or Nkosazana. What was also interesting was CIC of the EFF, Julius Malema, found himself in the mix, but with his usual spicy brand of things, and he tweeted out this. I actually thought that was very interesting, that he would throw himself like that in the mix. But as of now, that's kind of what's happening with the succession debate. It's not going anywhere. People will be talking about it despite what the president is asking, because whether he wants to admit it or not, it is something that's really very interesting. So I read a report that says that Cape Town is about to be split up into 4 sections, not like actually split up, but it's going to be divided into 4 sections, and each section is going to get its own mayor. So there'll be like 4 mini mayors to basically help run Cape Town effectively and efficiently, to help deal with service delivery issues and all of those things. And the report basically says that Patricia de Lille is going to make an announcement on Monday of the ODTP, and that's basically going to be, a plan that they're going to announce about how they're going to deal with, inequality and all of those other good things. My question is, why does it need to be split up into 4 areas for it to be effectively run? I don't know, I just found that incredibly interesting. I'm like, first of all, I don't even think Cape Town is that big to warrant it being split up, into 4 sections and then having mini mayors. I don't know. But these are the 4 people who are going to be the mini mayors, of this Cape Town that's going to be, cut up into. So, for those of you obviously who follow me on Facebook, and I'll leave the link in the description box down below. So you guys would have basically seen that I've been talking about the whole Gambia crisis. And for those of you who don't know, it basically boils down to this. Yahya Jammeh, and I'm so sorry if I'm saying that incorrectly, basically lost the presidency when they had elections, and Adama Barrow was democratically elected to be the new president. Yahya basically said that he's not going anywhere, he's not going to step down. So all of this basically led to Adama basically being inaugurated in Senegal, which, if you look where Gambia and Senegal is, you can kind of see why it would be easy for him to kind of go into Senegal. But he basically went to Senegal and went to the country's embassy and got himself inaugurated there. So last reports that I read was basically that troops from Senegal had basically, lined up along the border of Gambia, and they were ready to go. And the last report that I read basically is that they were advancing into Gambia, to basically force Yahya to step down. And they had said that they were going to give him a deadline of noon to basically step down. So right now, I'm not sure, where that kind of all is. But what was very telling and very, incredibly scary and sad for me was that when all of this was going down, it just seemed like, the military was kind of like a natural response. Everybody was like, this is what's happening, and the military is automatically just going to be, called in, and they're just going to deal with the situation. And I just, remember thinking to myself, I'm like, power is a very interesting thing. I was talking to my coworker about this, because she's like, why won't you just step down, and also when you look at Gambia, it's so small, this and that. But I was basically telling her, I was like, power is a very interesting thing. It could be power over 20 people or 20 million people, but power is power. And for as long as people want it, people will stay, even if it is to the detriment of other people. I mean, the fact that the army wants to go in, and I read that, 26,000 Gambians have basically fled because they're, afraid of a breakout in violence. I'm like, the fact that it's gotten to this point for me is incredibly scary. And I just honestly, I don't even know what the solution is, because I can't even stand here and be like, yeah, well, this is what needs to happen, because I mean, the solution is obvious. Just step down and let the new president be president. But obviously that's not happening. But at this time, I'm just like, we all just need to be praying for Gambia, for peace, and just for things to kind of be resolved in a peaceful manner, for Yara to just step down peacefully, and for there to be no use and breakout of violence is ultimately, my prayer. So another thing that I want to know about that's happening back here home in SA is, I would just like to know the truth, because between these two things and this, I just don't know what's going on, and I feel like we need to be told the truth here. So the same Moody's, the one that gets to decide people's rating, is being sued for what? Or rather, is being fined. Look, I personally just want to know what the truth is. I'm over it. So, last story. If you guys remember from my last video, you can go check that out. We spoke very briefly about ABSA and what's been going on, and I had said to you guys that I hadn't done that much research, but I was gonna go do my own research and then come back when I have a bit more information and I understand a little bit more. So this is basically what I know right now. So we know that the report that the public protector released basically says that ABSA unduly benefited from a series of bailouts from the apartheid government from the 90s, right? And that the recommendation is that they need to pay back something like 2.25 billion rands. That's pretty much what we know. So this is kind of how I took the story and made it make sense for me and break it down in chunks. There's a lot of different plays, there's a lot of different elements, but guys, just brace yourselves, and I hope that I explain it in a way that kind of makes sense to you guys, and you guys kind of understand what's basically going on. So here we go. Thabo Mbeki and Trevor Manuel, who are obviously president and finance minister at the time, basically contended that ABSA shouldn't pay back the money because it was going to, cause issues for the economy. So it was basically decided that ABSA shouldn't have to pay it back because it was going to, cause issues for the economy, and it was more important to keep the economy stable than to go after ABSA and this money. So basically, this report and this investigation into ABSA isn't a new thing. It isn't new with this report. It's something that had been talked about and had been known for a really long time. But it was just decided back then that, we're not going to go after it because of the implications to the economy. So what the report also basically says is that there were some Treasury officials, including Trevor Manuel as well, who all agreed that, it was just not going to be good for the economy, let's not pay it back, and that's fine. So what that led a lot of people to feel and believe is that there were a lot of people who were under the Mbeki administration who had a close relationship with the private sector, including ABSA. Now you guys need to remember that Maria Ramos, who's currently now the ABSA CEO, used to be a high-ranking official in Treasury. When she left Treasury, she went on obviously to become the CEO of ABSA in 2009. But in 2008, her and Trevor Manuel got married. I'm not saying anything. I'm just giving you guys the information. I'm giving you guys the facts so you guys kind of know what's basically going on. Now, a lot of people are basically saying that, this report, it reeks a bit of sinister motives, and all of those other things. But I'm thinking that, this report is it's a win for transparency, is it not? I mean, the fact that, it is obviously coming out and we're all kind of knowing all of these things, I would think that, it's a win for transparency, and for us to kind of know what's been going on and who owes what and whatever it is. So I personally think it's a win for transparency. You guys let me know what you think. So basically, Thabo Mbeki has come out and said it wasn't him. He's basically come out to say, you know what, he just he was like, no, he just wants no part of it. And I almost feel like it's the beginning of, everybody kind of going back and forth and everybody just trying to solidify the position and the role they kind of played in this whole thing. So this is where it also gets really interesting. Lesetja Kganyago, who's obviously the governor of the Reserve Bank, when he got the report, he was like, no ma'am. He was like, absolutely not. He basically said that they are going through the reports, but already they found a number of errors in the report, but that they're grateful that the PP has basically opened it up for them to give responses or whatever. So she's basically given the Reserve Bank, ABSA, and the presidency up until 28th of February to decide what they're going to do and to basically make recommendations back to her. So Lesetja is like, we absolutely not, and that there are errors in the report. ABSA has basically come out and also said, no ma'am. They say that they've looked through the report as well, and there are a number of things in the report that they say is incorrect and a lot of inconsistencies. And they also made mention of the fact that if there's going to be any recovery of money, that recovery of money needs to come from Sanlam, from whom they bought Bancorp. I know it's a lot, but that's what they're basically saying. Now, enter Thuli Madonsela, who her tenure ended in October last year. So basically, in 2011, Thuli started an investigation to find out if there were some South African companies that benefited financially from the state back in the day. And this was after a man by the name of Paul Hoffman, I want to say, later complained. And that's basically what initiated her doing the investigation. Now, Thuli has basically come out to say that she doesn't know if this report is the same one that she did, because she doesn't know what the new PP maybe has added or has not added into this whole new report. So she's basically saying that, yes, look, I did start the investigation, I did like a little bit of the work into this report, but as to what this report is now and the recommendations, I cannot say whether or not they're mine. That's basically what Thuli's saying. Now, another group of people who've been making noise about this whole thing is Black First Land First. I don't know if you guys know the organization, but they've basically, last year in October, I think it was, they went to Thuli's office, obviously before she stepped down as the public protector, and they wanted to know what was the status of this investigation that she was doing, because according to them, the report basically centers around something like 26 billion rands thing. And within that 26 billion amount is the 2.25 that relates to ABSA. So that's pretty much what I know about this whole scenario. I know. So it's got Thabo Mbeki in the mix, it's got Trevor Manuel, it's got, Maria Ramos, it's got the Reserve Bank, it's got ABSA, it's got Thuli Madonsela, it's got Black First Land First, it's got a lot of people. And I think this is just still the very beginning of what this entire report and what this entire thing, is about to signify. So, this is the last part, the politics, the drama. So basically, the ANC has basically come out and they say that they want the whole thing made public. They're not here for these leaks, which, okay. They want the whole report to come out. They want to know what the whole thing basically entails. And of course, they've gone on to criticize Thuli, to basically say that, they found fault in the fact that she didn't release the report when she was the PP. And they feel like for them, it proves the fact that, she prioritized some cases above others. State capture, ABSA. So Uncle Gweezy has basically come out to say that the way the state capture report and the ABSA report were handled, and the fact that the ABSA report didn't come out, as quickly, was clumsy. This is basically what he says. This report was written and never published. That is the issue. The report was written and kept under the lid, but the state of capture report was written in a rush and released. So for the ANC, they're just making the point that they feel that, she had preference when she was dealing with the case. The fact that the ABSA report was there all the while and didn't come out, but this other one, just came out really quickly. Then there's the DA, and this is what they said. I find it really interesting that this is the comment that they made, because I would have actually expected them to be on the forefront of this, to be the champions, to say, yes, let's carry on with the investigations, let's find out, about bailouts from, the apartheid government. But the fact that they made this type of statement, for me, is actually very telling. What I also found really interesting in terms of the politics is that the EFF hasn't said anything. It's actually kind of surprising, because I think I would have expected them to also just be on the forefront, but I couldn't really find anything or any kind of statement that they made, and I feel like that's actually very interesting, because you have to remember, this was the same EFF that last year, they were ready to march to the ABSA offices, they were ready to do the whole thing, kind of went away, and now that this story has come out, they're not really saying anything. So I'm kind of like, I don't really know what's going on. But yes, that's basically the ABSA story in a nutshell. I hope you guys were able to follow that. I hope it gives you guys a bit of a clearer picture as to what's going on. I think there's still obviously so much more that's going to be revealed, but that's currently where it stands now, with everybody saying we did nothing wrong, with everybody saying it wasn't me, and no one really providing a clear answer or even a clear solution of what's going to happen or how this is going to move forward. But yeah, I suppose only time will tell. So thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment in the description, let me know what you guys think about these stories and what we've been talking about, and please subscribe to the channel, and thanks for watching.